Just I still feel baby girl even back at home.
And look, I'm not against gaming because I love playing The Sims.
Yeah.
Sims 4. Well, Sims 3 was the best, but Sims 4 is...
What kind of Sims player are you?
I would say troubled.
Do you take the stairs off of the
No,
pool
no.
to
I'm
kill
not a
them?
killer.
Okay.
I don't murder my Sims. I get quite emotionally attached to them. But what I do is I make a very happy family. So I don't kill them, and I get quite sad when they die. I like to play generationally, so I'll make a family. They have their family, and we keep going through the generations. The family I'm playing with now, I'm probably at about 4 or 5 layers.
Where's the butt coming?
The butt is I'm gonna have to find a different way to segue it, but what I used to do was make Sims of people. So one time, I love University Challenge. Okay, it's one of my life goals and dreams to go on University Challenge, and I appreciate I've missed the boat with the real one. However, if I become a minor celebrity and I can get on the Christmas University Challenge, that would make my whole entire life.
Yeah.
So in about 2014, there was an Oxford player who was just so good. He was so good at University Challenge, and I was enamoured. I was in awe of his skill. So I made him on The Sims. And I gave him a family. And not me, I did not.
I was about to say. And where does this end?
I made him a family on Sims. I think that is the end of the story. But yeah, I sort of did a rags to riches sort of challenge. Are you across this? Yeah. Rags to riches Sims challenge.
Payload.
With one of the players from University Challenge.
I think you should tell him. I think you should find him right now.
I mean, he's probably...
he's probably listening to this pod.
Probably. Hey. But can I just say, I wasn't
you weren't in love with him.
I wasn't in love with him.
No.
I was genuinely just impressed by his skill.
Yeah.
Which warranted me then making him on The Sims. Which then might warrant me getting a psychological evaluation.
Do you remember his name?
Yes, I do remember his name. I just don't think I'm saying it on the internet.
I'd like to know.
I will tell you. I'll tell you when we stop recording.
Cool.
Deal. Anyway, but in terms of my Sims gameplay, I'll make a lovely, happy family. I'll make them very successful. They'll get to the top of their career. They'll think they have everything. And then one of the parents then becomes unfaithful.
I was about to say, when do they start cheating on people? Because
that
is
would
a
be
real...
after the first child. So the bubble's sort of intact until post the first child. And then usually... I just don't think we can laugh at this, but it is funny.
No, we can laugh at it because you're doing this.
Yeah, I am doing it.
There's no suggestion of, it's not funny because, this is happening. You've made this happen.
Yeah. So sometimes one of my favourite tropes is because obviously they have massive houses, right? Because I just motherload it. Yeah. And what I enjoy about The Sims is building. Yeah. I enjoy building and designing. And then I think, I need to play a family in this now. So they'll have these lovely big houses with probably horses and dogs and things. So I usually get some help in, And
then they have an affair with the help.
And then they always have an affair with the help.
And
for
really
the record,
original.
I do alternate between the mother and the father having an affair with the help or a friend.
Have you ever had a pregnancy scare with the help?
Oh no, big time. I do it on purpose. So one time I made a family, and then I made the husband have 18 children outside of the marriage.
And what century is this set in?
I'd say modern. This is
nice.
just the modern day. This is just Sims 4.
Yeah.
So 18 is my record.
Let's push for 20.
But I only play Sims when I'm not living life.
Yeah.
Because I think if you've
got a life,
you've got a life, then you don't need to be playing Sims, and you definitely don't need to be establishing 18 children sort of affairs.
No.
All different women, obvs.
No.
But then that creates an issue sort of sociologically in the Sims world, because if then all of the next generation of children are fathered by the same man, then your marriage prospects for your sort of second generation are not good.
I just don't think I'm surprised that this is exactly where the conversation's been steered to already. But like, isn't it bad on The Sims when all the Sims are related?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I've just got to like spawn new people. But one thing I do always do is I don't go for a townie when I've got my child sort of ready for marriage. I don't.
Townie.
That's what they're called on The Sims,
it is.
I think.
It's a funny term to hear.
Anyway.
So you're talking about townies.
Townspeople.
The townspeople.
Hear ye. Anyway. So when my Sims have sort of progressed through their university career and they're thinking about settling down, I don't pick an existing Sim of the town. I will always make their partner.
Yeah, good.
So that they're perfect.
Strong.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then nothing can go wrong.
Nothing
until
goes
you
wrong.
Force them to cheat on their partner.
Yes.
Perfect. Are you ready to be interviewed?
I'm ready to be interviewed.
If you could be interviewed by any publication, what would you want to be interviewed by?
That's a really, really good question.
Yeah, I know.
I've got a good question for you.
You got a question for me?
Yeah, but I'll answer this one first. Maybe I will. Maybe I'm thinking about it. Any publication.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'd end up in Vogue, but if I did,
Yeah.
I think I've made it.
Yeah.
Really. What would you pick? And why is it GQ?
It is GQ. I think I have a dream as well of... It's not just being interviewed in GQ. You want to do one of those interviews where they actually just spend half of it writing about like
you.
how much fun they had because you like took them here and you took them there and you treated them like a real human being.
Yeah, which is a crazy concept.
Which I think I could pretend to do for like a few hours, which would be great. And then everyone would be like, oh my God, he's just so real. He's just such a down-to-earth guy. Because obviously it's hard to deal with all the fame in the cricket world. Like it's obviously...
Can't go anywhere these days.
No, in a sport watched by like literally billions of people. Like, hey...
The cricket world is small though.
It is.
That's how we're here.
It is. Though we just put ourselves here. Bang.
Sure, but I think there's some forces at play to...
Oh, I would agree.
To have initiated our first meeting.
I would say so. Our first meeting, yes. You interviewed me.
I did interview you.
Which is funny because you're interviewing me right now. I'm interviewing you now, which I didn't get to do then.
Isn't it funny how life goes in circles?
Yes.
I don't think that's a phrase. Yes,
so
we did meet by interviewing.
Yes.
Because you applied for a little job.
A little job?
And I said, I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah, you actually said, get lost, mate.
That's where we got to earlier.
Yeah, before the home wrecker sim conversation.
Yes, where I was a follower of you.
Yeah.
And I'm not...
Fan.
I'm not using that word. That's just
You're
ridiculous.
not a fan of me?
No. Why would I be a fan of you?
I was
We're
joking in
peers.
like sense of like, hey, I'm a fan. In a nice way. You should be fans for your friends.
No, because I think fan suggests sort of pedestal.
Yeah. Hey, when my feet were on a literal pedestal last week.
Anyway, I started off as a follower.
Yeah.
And then I interviewed you for a job. And now we're friends.
Yeah. And business partners. Yes.
And this podcast is sponsored by QuickBooks.
QuickBooks accounting software.
It's actually not, I think.
No, for legal reasons.
For legal reasons, it's actually not sponsored by anything yet.
You said that you had a question for me after I asked you what publication would you most like to be interviewed by.
So this comes from yesterday. Yesterday in the office. Yesterday. I don't even think it goes like that.
No.
So we went to Dibs. If Dibs would like to sponsor this podcast, novel. Then that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think I'm sort of doxing our office there, but that's...
Yes.
Okay. We went to a salad bar near the office to grab some lunch, and we came back to our office, which I shall not name. And one of the songs on the speakers in the kitchen was the song that my aunt had playing in her funeral when her urn sort of goes wherever it goes to be prepared for
I think
burial.
back to Australia right now. The urn.
She's German.
The real one's actually in the Museum of Lords. Yeah.
Right.
Cross purposes.
Yeah.
So there was a song. What was the song?
The song is the Elton John and Dua Lipa version of...
Cold, cold heart.
Yes, exactly.
Man of Watford, Elton John.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa. Did you go to the same school?
No.
Oh. D.H. Lawrence went to
in-
my school.
We were in different years, I think, though, so we
Yeah,
probably would have
you
missed
probably
each
just
other.
missed each other
Yeah.
a little bit. Anyway, so she had the remix, the Elton John. You're laughing, and you can laugh because it is funny. She had the Elton John Dua Lipa remix of "Cold Cold Heart" playing as her urn. I don't know wherever it went. And so I was obviously sort of sat at this funeral crying, but also
Did you pop your head?
well, I was confused, right? Because I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to sort of be enjoying the audio right now, but
Yeah.
I am. But obviously, it's ruined the song.
So you're going to ask me?
What song would you have at your funeral? Because we were discussing the fact that obviously that song has now been ruined for me because every time it comes on in the club, I think of being at my aunt's funeral. So you've got to pick a good song, right?
Yeah.
That people are going to enjoy, but it can't be a song that people hear enough to then have ruined it forever.
So it can't be party rock anthem.
That would be so good.
That would be so
That would
good.
be so good. If your service ended with some, like the priest or something, go, sorry for party rocking.
Well, I think I've just given a bang of an answer there, but that would be emotionally confusing anytime you heard
Yeah.
it in the future.
You can ruin it.
Oh, I don't think you could ruin party rock anthem.
No. I don't think LMFAO would ever forgive you,
No.
personally. But then you'd be dead, so it'd be fine.
Yeah, sorry for party rocking, I guess.
That would be the end of my wake.
Yeah.
You can't fault it, because if you like the song,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
it's
say,
your
It's a really
funeral,
fun
then
song.
you can do whatever you want.
Disco Queen.
Cold, cold heart.
So last week,
Yes.
you were very like, stuff doesn't get me up and out of my seat.
No.
And yet here we are with a podcast about cricket.
Yeah.
Care to join the dots a touch? For not just that everyone else, but like
Also
me?
you. Yeah, no, that's a very fair question. Because I often think, how on earth did I end up here? Because I never ever grew up, I never grew up thinking, playing, understanding. I don't think cricket ever actually crossed my mind as a child. Maybe it was on the TV, and I thought, what on earth's going on there? Why would you play that when you could play rounders? But even then, I don't remember having any sort of conscious thoughts. I definitely wasn't across the Ashes in any sort of concept at all. And like I say, why are you laughing?
You said the Ashes after our previous conversation.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if this was a Rounders podcast?
Do you reckon there is one? Maybe there's a gap in the market there.
Yeah. Hey, this is us launching a spin-off.
Spin-off.
So nothing. There was
Spin.
no real recognition.
No,
of the
nothing.
game.
I went to an all-girls school in Nottinghamshire, and we never did cricket at school. I don't know if we weren't allowed. Like it wasn't an option. There was no cricket club. Yeah, so we never had cricket as an option in PE. It was always rounders as the summer sport. It was rounders or tennis, and I'm not very good at tennis, so rounders it was.
Yeah.
And then I moved school for sixth form. I went to the boys' school next door, and even then we didn't do cricket. So again, played rounders, but was sort of conceptually aware of the boys playing cricket, and I didn't really understand it. I thought it was a very sort of elitist, inaccessible sport that just took hours and hours and hours and hours to comprehend. And I was actually right.
And you were spot on.
I was actually bang on. My perception was just crazy. in
you
tune
actually
back
one
then.
and done. You were like, yeah, this doesn't look very accessible, and it also looks like it takes way too long with a load of archaic rules and traditions
Yeah.
that are really inaccessible.
Yeah, so I thought, I'm having
Correct.
none of that.
And I saw that and I thought, I'd love it.
Love that. But I tell you what, I do remember my first ever cricket game. I went to Outlaws versus Falcons at Trent Bridge in 2017.
Derbyshire was your first experience, like watching Derbyshire play was your first
I think
experience of
I
cricket.
would have personally put the emphasis on at Trent Bridge.
And you came back.
Well, after a big hiatus.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever watched it my friend's dad had just like a company pass to Trent Bridge, so we just went for free, which is how I like to do a lot of things in life. No, yeah, so we went for free, which is I think the only way I would have experienced cricket by choice at 17, 18.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I had a good time because I conceptually didn't know what was going on. Right? I enjoyed the pyro. I always enjoy pyro.
Yeah. Mascots.
I couldn't tell you. I know it's a squirrel, but I couldn't have told you if it was that. I could get my Snapchat memories up and have a look. That's nuts.
That's nuts. See, because you'd point to the squirrel and say that's nuts because his name is Nuts.
There's no squirrel in the room.
There is no squirrel in the room.
Yeah, so I think we went a couple times that summer, and like just as a social, just as a nice day out. I think I was 17, so it wasn't even about the alcohol. It was genuinely just about spending time with friends.
Love of the game.
Yeah, hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I don't think I tried, to be honest, because I thought, when is this ever going to be relevant in my life?
And then
fast forwarding nearly 10 years now, which makes me a bit sick.
We're washed.
We are so washed. Cricket is my whole entire job.
Yeah.
And it just happened via a crazy series of just accidents, I think. I don't even think crazy is the right word, and accidents definitely isn't. But I think when I look back and connect all of the dots, I don't think at each dot I could have predicted the next one, but going back and connecting them, they all make sense.
What was the first dot?
The first dot was going to university. And I struggled at uni.
Yeah.
I wasn't very happy, and I wasn't very... just wasn't having a good time. So I got to my second year of university and I moved in with my friend Niall. It was just the two of us in the flat. Yeah. And he was part of Edinburgh Uni Cricket Club, shout out. And I had no hobbies. I was very sporty at school and I was very interested in things, and all of that sort of disappeared when I went to uni. I stopped doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I sort of got back to Edinburgh in my second term of first year, and I just thought something has to change here because I'm just not... I thought uni was supposed to be fun, and I didn't have any friends apart from the people I lived with in first year, which is not true. It's sort of true. Anyway, this is getting a bit sad.
No, because we're bouncing back.
We are bouncing back. The comeback is so on.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time. Anyway, so yeah, I was quite desperate, I think, for just a hobby or something to do, and I was too scared to do anything on my own. So Niall suggested that I go to the cricket club because at the time the women's team had maybe about 13 members. So it was a not intimidating environment, and he would obviously be part of the men's team, so I'd have someone that I knew at socials. So I thought, okay, I will go to the trial. It must have been midterm. It was they have these give it a go sessions at Edinburgh. So it must have been that. It must have been October because I just definitely wouldn't have been brave enough in September. And I go and I'm stood outside the sports hall, and then there's this girl there that I recognise from one of my first year seminars, my French literature seminar.
Where?
Oh, wait. Bonjour. So we sort of form a pact there and then that if we're going to do it, we'll do it together. And that is literally where all of this started.
What?
The absolute sheer coincidence that Niall was interested in cricket and that Karina was at this session as well. And I genuinely don't think, I know for a fact my life wouldn't look like this now if those things hadn't happened. Which I find baffling because when I was applying to uni, I was desperate to go to Oxford.
Sorry.
So how does it feel to live my dream?
You didn't ask me about university?
No.
Moving on.
Back to me. So no, I was desperate. I was literally desperate to go to Oxford, and I just, for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I mean, I had my interview at Oxford and I cried my eyes out to my mum on the phone saying, I don't want to go here. And then I sort of didn't know where else to go for uni because I'd applied to, I think this tracks, Oxford, Durham, Birmingham, Exeter, and Edinburgh. Yeah. But I'd only been to Edinburgh on a family holiday before. I'd never actually visited the uni before applying. So I thought, well, Oxford is obviously the goal. I'm not that fussed about going to Durham. I don't really want to go to Exeter or Birmingham because everyone from my school was going there and I wanted to sort of branch out. So I thought, well, realistically, the only option left is Edinburgh. And thankfully, when I went to the post offer visit day, it was snowing in April and I still loved it. So I was like, okay, this could be the one. And it turned out I hated it in the first year, but that's besides the point.
Hey.
The point is, overall, I loved Edinburgh. But I think what I'm trying to say is, if I had just got into Oxford, I would never have met Niall. I would never have lived with him in first year or second year. I'd never have had my seminar with Karina. I just definitely wouldn't be sat here now doing this. And I just think that's crazy.
It's really good not going to Oxford. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. And how was your Oxford experience?
Well, I suppose if we're talking about causation.
Yeah, correlation and causation.
If I hadn't gone to Oxford, studied a law degree, realised about a year in, I don't really want to work in law and I'm going to have a law degree, do a master's to then kind of, just enjoy it, which was just to buy myself time.
That's exactly what I did.
Hit 23 and be like,
now what?
What am I doing? Then I wouldn't have started making videos about cricket.
Yeah.
Which then wouldn't have led to this. So maybe if I'd gone somewhere other than Oxford, I would have actually found a fulfilling career sooner.
Hey, performance planning is coming up. I just think you should be careful.
So it's really good that even though we both had, weirdly at 17, the same goal.
Yeah.
And got very different outcomes.
And yet,
we've
here we
ended
are.
up in the exact same podcast audio interface.
Yeah.
It is nuts.
It is, but it is crazy, Dan.
Imagine if we'd gone to university together.
Oh my God. Would we have been friends at uni?
Don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't
Because
know.
I wouldn't have been interested in cricket.
No, I mean, my involvement in cricket at university was minimal. Like, I went to a few, net sessions, played the odd, seconds or third games at my college. But, obviously, university sport and college sport is just massively spread out. And it's just, I just mainly watched it. 2019 World Cup was my first year, so that was a really good summer.
Okay.
I was in Leeds visiting a friend.
Did you have gap year? Oh no, 29. That's how the
18/19.
calendars work. Yeah.
That is how years work. I had the joy of being in Leeds. I say joy in inverted commas on the day where England got bowled out for about 60 at Headingley that summer. I'd been visiting a friend up in Yorkshire. I got on a train. Some very hungover men who'd been there on day one.
Yeah.
Were listening to it on a radio.
Okay. Yeah.
Uniquely miserable cricket experience as everyone just slumps further and further. But Headingley 2019, am I right? Didn't go too badly in the end, did it? Sir Ben Stokes.
This is a genuinely blank stare.
Stokes at Headingley 2019 century on day 4. Him and Jack Leach, really long batting partnership. Jack Leach 1 not out. Just one of the most iconic cricketing moments in English history.
So that's the thing. I think we also do need to address that my cricket knowledge grew up in Scotland. So I'm very, very, very au fait with Scottish cricket. But English cricket has a lot of holes.
Well, when we first met and started talking, it was during the World Cup T20 World Cup last year.
Yeah.
And I just, at that point, having not heard you speak that much, wondered if you were actually just from Scotland, and I just never made the connection.
No.
Because you were very when Scotland played England, you were like, oh, come on, Scotland, which I was like, hey, traitor, obviously.
Well, yeah, so...
I was meanwhile defending Joss Butler's England captaincy for about 2 years.
Yeah.
To the death.
So all of my cricket knowledge is Scottish. And all of these sorts of iconic English cricket moments just don't exist in my zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I just was not aware. Cricket in Edinburgh English cricket in Scotland isn't massive.
What?
Whoa.
But they love us so much, famously.
Talk to the Jacobites about that.
Good.
Keep that in. Let people know I'm clever.
Yeah, we'll keep that in. We'll keep the whispering in too.
Yeah. So I think do you want all of the dots laid out for you?
Yeah, go for it. And then we'll get lunch.
Yeah. Okay, so dot number 1 would be...
Going to university.
Dot number 2 is getting put in a first year flat with Niall. Dot number 3 is liking Niall enough to then live together in second year. Dot number 4, Niall growing up playing cricket. And I've gone a bit sticky. Niall growing up playing cricket and then continuing that love into university. 5, Karina being... I'm not going to label every dot. I think that's going to get quite long. No. But I do think Karina being there on that day just made me feel like it just made me feel very comfortable. And I was like, okay, maybe this is a sign, because I love signs and I love manifestation.
Carlos.
So I was like, okay, yeah. Do you know what? I will say I do enjoy Carlos signs. I think he's funny.
Great.
So having Karina there and also having Niall sort of encouraged me to keep going. And also I thought, do you know what? It could be a good experiment to be completely new at something, because I'd always only ever done stuff that I was already good at. And I don't know if you know this about cricket, Dan, but it's quite hard to pick up at 19 years old.
It is. It's
So-
also quite hard, full stop.
It is hard, full stop. And as someone who's used to being good at everything straight away, which I will
Including
stand by,
podcasting.
especially podcasting, I found it incredibly frustrating. And
Find podcasting in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music on a different app.
I hope that picked that up. I found it incredibly hard and very frustrating. So I thought I should. This is good for me.
Yeah.
You know, as a mental exercise, I should get used to sort of failure.
Yeah.
So I did. I stuck at it, and I found the people at Edinburgh were just brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, if I can be frank.
No.
Scrap that. Can I be frank?
Can I be frank?
Just don't think we can
If
put
you
that in.
understand where that comes from, just go outside.
Go touch some grass. Anyway, if I can be frank, the people were great and I felt very comfortable and I just enjoyed having something to do.
Yeah.
And that's how sad that situation was, really. And then COVID hit, so we went home at the end of and then COVID hit, so we ended up going home at the end of second year.
Yeah.
And I got a lot better over that summer. So I came back to university in third year thinking, okay, we're really going to sort of hit the ground running here. I'm trying to make this concise, but there are a lot of layers.
Hey, it's my job to make it concise.
Yeah, that's actually so true.
Such a good interview.
So when I came back to uni in third year, I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I really enjoy the people. I've made some lovely friends. And I'd been persuaded to join a local cricket club up in Edinburgh. So my sense of community was really sort of building.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of, I suppose, really good people around me. And then an opportunity. I can't really remember exactly what happened first, but sort of in the same 12-month span, I ended up having a subsidised coaching course. I will do a shout out, actually.
Yeah.
I ended up doing my level 1 coaching course so I could help out at my local cricket club, Royal Hikestorfen.
Shout out.
And that was actually subsidised by this charity, Beyond Boundaries. So what I had to do was they paid for my coaching course when I'd done a certain amount of All Stars and Dynamos coaching hours. So that was great because I got a free level 1 certificate and I could then coach. So I coached, like I say, I coached All Stars and Dynamos at my club and with Cricket Scotland, and then I coached All Stars and Dynamos at my club and with Cricket Scotland sort of concurrently. And at this same time, I'm obviously still at uni involved in the cricket club, and I didn't do anything on the committee that year because I thought I just need to actually like sort of, stabilise.
Yes.
And then fourth year, I ended up actually being the social secretary of Edinburgh University Cricket Club, and nobody applied to do the publicity secretary job. And I thought, I love posting on Instagram, so I'll cover that one until you find a suitable sort of person. I don't know why I've gone for the upside down mark.
No, it's good. It's good. Go with it.
It's actually quite it's quite comfortable.
Yeah.
So I took over the Instagram and social media and everything, and I was making the most abhorrent Canva designs. Like if you scroll back now, I just wouldn't, but they're just awful. But I loved it. I really, really, really loved doing it. So then when I did my Panic Masters, I then just stayed on as publicity sec for Edinburgh Union Cricket Club. So there was a lot of cricket happening for me at that time. I was obviously doing my Masters in something completely unrelated to sport, being Edinburgh Uni Cricket Club social sec, and doing the social media for my local club, and coaching cricket at Wickets, like the TAVs programme for kids. So I was coaching Wickets, All Stars and Dynamos, and sort of helping out with uni. So it was a lot of cricket all at once, really. And I think what the weirdest part is in all of this is that I think the only reason I then started doing social media for Cricket Scotland, which is how I then obviously sort of moved down to London and do it full time.
Conquer the world.
Yeah. Is that we So there weren't many women's cricket coaches in Edinburgh at the time. I was probably one of 3 or 4. And we had and Cricket Scotland were running a training sessions for some refugees that had come over from Afghanistan. And the girl who was supposed to be coaching was ill that day. So I was literally the only other person available to come and do it. So I ended up coaching at this session, and the head of development very kindly gave me a lift home from that training session. And it was in her car that I asked her, would it be okay if I did some social media with you guys? I'd love to shadow you. Like, I'm really, really interested in doing this. And she said, obviously, you have to sort of go through the right channels, but, you know, I don't see why not. I'll put you in touch with the right person. And that person was our very own Andrew Brock.
Brocky. Shout out to Brocky.
And that won't make sense to anyone else listening, unless you personally know us. But Brocky then took me through basically everything I needed to know about cricket social media coverage. Like, I did a summer with Cricket Scotland where he taught me how to use Photoshop, how to use a camera. It was the summer actually that New Zealand came over and played in Edinburgh. So I helped organise the trophy tour of the Cricket World Cup trophy tour around Scotland, and I just thought this is what I want to do, and basically just took all of the stats from that into my application for the 100, and they were like, yeah, have a go.
And the rest,
as they say,
is cricket, because that probably doesn't exist yet, but all the other podcasts of the rest is
which
probably do.
I think I take issue with, because I think the only one that makes sense is the rest is history.
Yes,
the rest is economics. Just
the rest is politics. It's stupid.
Yeah,
but you know,
and
I
anyway,
will listen to it.
So the reason I'm sat here today is just sheer happenstance.
Great,
and I
isn't
think
it?
that's beautiful.
I don't think we're ever going to get a nicer note to end an episode on.
Yeah,
so I'm
we've
happy.
peaked.
I'm happy to call it there.
I think we should.
Hey, buddy, I'm happy all that happened.
Thanks, Dan. Me too.